I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor, and we have breaking news. Alright, so this is the situation we have right here. Tropical Storm Bonnie has now crossed into the Pacific Ocean right here. As you can see, it's starting to reorganize and redevelop right here. You can see those minus 70, minus 80 cloud tops in that convection right there really firing up and starting to get this thing on the road. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this situation we have right here. This is the 10 a.m. advisory. The government of Nicaragua has discontinued the tropical storm warning on the Caribbean coast. It continues in the in the Pacific Ocean coast right there. So, yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at this. Maximum sustained winds are at 40 miles per hour, and Bonnie is expected to become a hurricane later in its cycle. Tropical storm force winds extend outward 70 miles from the center, and the minimum central pressure is 1,000 millibars. It is down from 1,002 millibars as it was at 7 in the morning. As you can see, we have the cone right here, and this thing is expected to basically move off the coast of Nicaragua. It already has. It's in the Pacific Ocean. It's expected to reorganize, re-strengthen into a hurricane right here by either late Monday or early Tuesday. It could even happen quicker than that, depending on how organized this gets and how it uses up those warm waters right there. So let's go ahead and take a look at the wind shear and the sea temperatures just to show you what I'm talking about. The shear, it's, once again, I've been saying this like a broken record, it's open season. Like, the wind shear is not going to stop this thing. And if we take a look at the satellite, this thing is getting organized by the hour, if not by the minute. So this thing, there's nothing really limiting this thing from strengthening up to where it wants to get without it getting in its own way, essentially. If you take a look at the sea temperatures, where it exited, it did exit in slightly cooler waters around 82 to 81, 82 degrees Fahrenheit right here. It is going to move off into those warmer waters, which is around 28 degrees Celsius, 83 to 84 degrees Fahrenheit right there. So, yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on the situation as it develops. The water is plenty warm for this thing. The shear is plenty weak for this thing to strengthen. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the tracks of this thing and the intensity. The track models right here, as you can see, basically, this thing is staying offshore. There is the possibility that if this thing gets large enough, some outer bands impacting the southern Mexican coast right here. But all the models agree that this thing's going to stay out to sea and eventually just die off as it moves into cooler waters, but not before intensifying first. And this is the intensity models we have. Once again, vast majority of the models have this at hurricane strength, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We now have six. Six models having this at Category 2 strength right here. Out of I think it's like 15 or 20. So yeah, 6 models now have this at Category 2 strength. We have 3 going up to Cat 3, and the H-Wharf, going as aggressive as usual, now has it going up to Category 4 strength, which I think is a bit outlandish once again, but not impossible. Considering the fact that this thing is using its resources quite well right now. You can see that center of circulation is still well defined. You can see the convection is still blowing up right here. So this thing, like, it didn't, when its land interaction in Nicaragua, it didn't really impact it that much. That's what I'm really going to say about that. But with that being said, let's go ahead and go to the HMON model right here. We're going to be going over all of these models one by one as time goes on. Let's go ahead and take a look at the HMON with Bonnie right here. So, okay, this thing's not ready yet. So let's go ahead and we'll have to run a previous run right here. So there we go. So this is the latest we have right here. This thing exits off around 1,001. It's at 1,000 millibars right now, so this thing kind of takes its time to reorganize, redevelop, but once it does, it starts really strengthening. It becomes a hurricane, potentially a Category 1, potentially Category 2 at this point, and then it kind of slows down, stagnates, and then the pressure for the HMON ends up bottoming out at 978 millibars, potentially Category 2 strength right there, and then it slowly basically weakens as time goes on, as it moves through into the cooler waters. Actually, no, it re-strengthens later on down the road right here. So we'll have to pay close attention to this as time goes on. We'll go ahead and go to the GFS model right here. Please excuse me. We'll have to use an earlier model run because, okay, there we go. All right, so you can see this thing is already stronger than it is right now on the GFS. You can see the GFS, if it's correct, it continues intensifying, developing. It kind of bottoms out 983 millibars. It's a category, either a Category 1 or Category 2 hurricane. Starts to reorganize, redevelop. Then it re-strengthens again in the Pacific Ocean. If we take a look at those sea temperatures out in the Pacific, like at this point, if we take a look at where the cone right here, yeah, it does appear that it's going to be moving further to the south, which means it's going to be moving further into those warm waters. So we'll have to pay attention to that as time goes on. And then this thing re-strengthens, really bottoms out 964 millibars for the second time. A potential Category 3 strength in the next week or so, but at this point we'll have to wait and see when it comes to that, because that's just one mile run out of many. So we'll have to pay close attention to this, and we'll have to keep an eye on it. The good news is this thing's staying out to sea, so that's pretty much what we have. Now let's continue. This thing slowly kind of weakens, and then it eventually dies off. So yeah, that's the situation with the GFS. The H-Wharf, this is going to be interesting to take a look at. I will say that. This is going to be very interesting right here. A very interesting model run. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So yeah, H-Wharf, we're already at 1,000 millibars when it's off the coast, which that's what's going on now. This thing kind of takes its time to reorganize, redevelop, re-intensify, and then it becomes a hurricane, starts to intensify at this point. Then eventually it'll bottom out. I think, yeah, it'll continue to weaken and strengthen, bottoming out at 943 millibars, about 5.5 days out. But if we take it back at a slower pace, right here, this thing organizes. Its initial peak is 966 millibars, Category 3 strength. Then it likely undergoes an eyewall replacement cycle, and then it starts reorganizing, and then re-intensifying again, and then it bottoms out, at least in this run, to 943 millibars right there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Category 4 strength that the H-Wharf is suggesting right here. We're looking at max winds of 140 knots here. That's pretty crazy right here, and with a pressure of 945, that's a crazy scenario right there. The good news is this thing's going to stay out to sea. Once again, I have a few problems with this model, considering that it is a bit outlandish at this time, but it's not impossible considering the warm waters and weak wind shear. But yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on as the situation develops. So this thing is already off the coast of Nicaragua with the pressure of 1,000 millibars, winds of 40 miles per hour. And one last look at the satellite imagery. You can once again see that this thing is not sparing any expense. It's developing, it's organizing, it's starting to grow a bit. So yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it. But with that being said, it's going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It helps me out. It helps to make more videos like these. The goal of this channel is to get more people engaged with weather, which is what I'm hoping I'm doing with these videos. But with that being said, have a wonderful day. Make sure to hit the red subscribe button and stay safe.